It's showtime, folks. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game here on this Monday. The Titans lose 52-14 in Detroit. So we get to react to that. But first, Grandpa is back with us.
Hey, man.
Welcome back. Congratulations for the 25th time, but you deserve it.
Thank you so much. Everybody's good. My daughter and son-in-law and the baby, they're good. God is great. Thank you. So it's good to be back. And it was quick. It was fast. Everybody's healthy. God bless you, nurses and labor and delivery and doctors and everybody. You are vastly underpaid, and we love you and thank you for what all you do.
Yeah, amen to that. I'm glad that everybody's doing good.
Everybody's doing good, except the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, they're not doing so hot. Do me a favor, teach your granddaughter not to like this team because
I'll do that.
She's just going to have a lot of heartache if she does. So
generational heartache doing that. When somebody tells you, hey, the score was 52-14, but it's closer than that. This is the rare occurrence where it was worse than that.
Yeah, here's the deal. When you lose 52-14, you don't get a moral victory. When you lose to Texas by 3 points and we're in the game till the very end, you can take a moral victory.
Yeah, you're right.
Talking about Vandy. But they don't get that today. And look, I was thinking about, all right, how do I want to go about today? Because the truth is, in watching the game yesterday, nothing surprised me. Nothing surprised me. Not the fact that the Titans, kind of looked decent in the first half. They were hanging there. They were getting to Goff. Arden Key had a sack. They were making plays. They scored 14 points. Nothing surprised me. But there's always one moment where you can physically, with your own two eyes, see the game change. And I immediately thought of you during this moment.
Oh, yeah. Give it to me.
Explain to me. You have first and goal from the 1. Why in the blue hell are you going shotgun for 4 straight plays? Do you hate do you not trust your offensive line?
I don't. In that moment, I don't know what you're doing. Again, you're over your head. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't know. You're caught up in the environment. You don't know what you're doing. Just run the ball up the middle.
You have this guy named Tony Pollard that you paid a decent amount of money to this year. He's actually not that bad. He plays running back. Running backs run the ball. I don't know if you know that. Like sometimes they'll catch it, but most of the time you just hand it to them and then they run, right? That's their job. And at the 1 yard line, when it's first and goal from the 1 yard line, you don't think he could get you that 1 yard?
Just
hell, you could hold on to it yourself if you're Mason Rudolph and just fall over and you get a touchdown.
Yeah, it's I don't look. I've been on this rant for a long time about shotguns on the goal line and all that. That proved my point yesterday. It just proved my point, just how inept this team is, how inept the coaching staff is, how they're so far over their head. And we're going to get into Amy Adams during the show later on about her and what she's done to this football team. But yesterday was an embarrassment. The 59-0 loss to the Patriots in 2009 was embarrassing. Yesterday was exactly the same on a national stage. Everybody saw regional, whatever, but everybody sees the game. And it was just terrible from all aspects. And I don't know how you get better. I do not know how you get better unless you say to everybody, take care.
Yeah. So we're going to get into that because I have a lot of thoughts on that whole aspect of things. And for those of you that have listened to me for a while now, since I've been on the air here, I'm not the, everybody needs to get fired guy. Like I'm not. And if you say that about Jared, like you do need to also listen to some of the context. Now he's going to fire people more than I am, but right. but I mean, generally he has some good points behind it. But I'm not that person. I am glass half full. I want to see people succeed. I don't want people to lose their job. Now I'll get to a point where I'll say, okay, I kind of get it. Like when Vrabel got fired, I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I saw the argument for it and I saw the argument for keeping it. That's kind of where I was with him. John Robinson, I completely 100% disagreed with the move at the time that they made the move.
Yep.
Again, you get to the offseason, okay, I could have listened to it. my thing right now is I do believe Brian Callahan's in over his head, but I'm going to put that aside for a second because ultimately this falls on the person or persons responsible for putting the roster together. That's the general manager, Ran Carthon, and the president of football operations that used to be the assistant GM, and then he got a promotion, Chad Brinker. That's on them right now. And there's a couple of different, tentacles to this. The first being Ran Carthon's the GM. Part of being the GM is you have to talk to the media and explain where things are.
Incorrect.
And what you're okay, let me finish my point and then you give me the counterpoint. To me, that is a part of being the general manager. You speak for the team. You are the voice of the team. He's yet to do a press conference, but he does a sit-down Q&A with Nick Suss of the Tennessean. Nothing against Nick Suss, nothing against the Tennessean. That's fine, good for you. But he's yet to do a press conference. Now, maybe he does one at the trade deadline. Okay, but you just traded DeAndre Hopkins. You just made another trade. Your team just lost 52-14. You're clearly going into a rebuild mode. I believe the GM should have to speak to the media. What's coming across to me is, and the Titans like to play it safe with these, obligations. The owner sits down when she fired John Robinson. She doesn't do a press conference. She sits down with a very capable and Hall of Fame reporter in Teresa Walker, who I think does a fantastic job, but that's a safe play. So she does that. Still doesn't do a press conference. She fires Vrabel. She does an even safer play, sits down with the play-by-play guy and Mike Keith, who, again, does a fantastic job. He's doing his job there, but doesn't do a press conference. And they make the GM go out there and just, I felt bad for him that day. It's a safe play. And it also says to me that they're scared for the GM to talk in these situations. If you can't do a press conference, you don't need to be GM. That's my opinion. Like, you're the general manager. You speak for the team. That's how I look at it. Now, you clearly disagree with me on something here. That's fine.
Why go into a press conference where you're going to get bombarded the entire time with questions, okay? So if you don't have to do that, it's not required by the league to do it. You don't have to do it. We want him to, and he talked to the guy from the Tennessean, which is fine. I bet they probably caught up in an elevator or something. That's fine. But we're sitting there waiting him to talk to us like he's coming down with the 11th commandment. No, we're not doing that. There's no explanation he can give us about how bad this team is on the field. So I see from his perspective, I'm not going out and talk to you guys. If I don't have to, I'm not going out, and I get the frustration. I'm not going out and talking to you when I know what I'm going to get 30, 45 minutes of. I'm not going to do it. And
that's fine, but you're going to get blasted even more for not doing that.
How much more can he get blasted? Tell me, how much more can he get blasted right now?
I mean, that's a fair point, but it's a part of your job. You're the GM. You are the general manager.
Job does he
you owe it to the fan base to get out, and don't tell me you don't owe it to the fans, because you do. You owe it to the fan base to get up there and probably tell them something they already know.
He told you enough yesterday. Stay with us.
I don't.
Do you want to hear that? No, what do you want them to say?
I want him to answer questions
about why the team is bad.
Why'd you trade Hopkins? Are you blowing it up? Are you giving up on this season? And
that's fair enough.
And look, he's going to give you the BS canned answer.
So why do you want that?
Because at least get out there and speak.
He spoke yesterday because he
spoke
to
you. One reporter. I'm not even going to ask him questions. Like I'm not there every day. That's Paul. That's
what
Joe.
Do you want him to say? What do you want Ran Carthon to say?
However he wants to answer the question. That's fine. But just do a press conference. Do a freaking press conference.
And then get question after question after question of why this roster and team. So I'm not doing that. If I'm a GM, I'm not doing that.
Well,
I'm not going out
fine.
there.
But then you're not a very good GM.
Evidently so. Your team is 1 in whatever they are now. 1-5, 1-6. What are they? 1-6?
They are 1-6.
1-6. Yeah. So
his quote yesterday. This is from the Tennessean. My message for the fans would be: just stay with us. We understand your frustration. We're frustrated too, but we're working diligently every day to get the next one. That's what we're going to do. For us to come in and have to flip the roster the way you have to get to a competitive point and not be able to see the W's in the win column. We understand. We understand the fan base's frustration, but I promise you, we're working as hard as we can to fix it and get it right. Listen, that's what he's going to say. That's fine. But to me,
Right.
it's a better look. It's all about optics for him to stand up in front of the quote unquote firing squad, so to speak, and say it that way.
He's not going to.
No, he's not, because I think I don't think they're going to let him.
No.
But
Same way.
that goes to the bigger point. If they're not going to let him, if they're going to say, hey, let's just do these safe little plays, it means they don't trust him to do a press conference. If they don't trust him to do a press conference, he doesn't need to be the general manager.
Do you, Chase McCabe, trust him in a press conference?
No, and that's my whole point.
Exactly.
But that's my point. That's what I'm saying. Now, with that, do I do it now? I'll tell you. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We want to hear from you. Your reaction today. Clearly, we're fired up. It's a dumpster fire. That's what this is.
Right. And I'm curious, because I've heard this all over the thing. Who do you blame for this? I got my thoughts on it. You have yours. Who do you blame for the state of the roster, this team, franchise right now? And I think it's easy. I think it's very easy, and we'll explain why.
Oh, it's easy.
And explain why it's even easier than you think when we come back.
Yes, we will. It's Chasing Big Joe on a Reaction Monday, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
say that it's 1-6 here. At some point, you have to consider major changes to make it not be 1-6 anymore.
Yeah, I'll deal with that on my own when we get back to the building if that's something that we have to do. But at this point, I'm not in that mode.
Brian Callahan yesterday, he's getting the tough questions. He's answering the tough questions. May not like the answer, but he's giving them. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. A lot of you texting in. Majority of you agree with me that he should speak. So I one texter asked, do other GMs, 6638, do other GMs do pressers? Did Floyd Reese do pressers? I don't remember. Other than Jerry Jones, I don't think they do. I think it depends on the situation. Floyd did, but here's the other thing that Floyd did. And Willie's talked about this. Floyd did a weekly on the flagship station across the street every week. I mean, he went on every week, whether it was good, whether it was bad. He spent an hour with Willie and George and Darren, those guys, and did that. If Rand, I wouldn't like it because obviously I like when other people can ask questions. But if Rand all of a sudden started doing a weekly on the flagship station, okay, that's better than what he's doing now. My issue is, here's my issue, and this isn't about me asking the gotcha question and all that stuff, because I don't go to these things. I don't cover the team on a regular basis. I host the show, but I'm PD. I got my duties here. There are people that do that and should ask those questions. My thing is, you're doing it live. It's not a sit down print interview where you can edit it and take stuff out. And don't tell me that doesn't happen, because it does. I want something live. I want something in the moment. Give me your true answer. Whether you like it or you don't like the answer, he's still there answering the question. If it's coach speak BS, fine. But at least he's sitting there answering the question like the head coach is having to do. I feel bad for him right now because he's the only one that's having to answer for anything, and it's not all his fault. He didn't pick all these players. Yeah, so
true. I mean, I get what you're saying, and we want to hear the accountability. We want to hear that they care as much as we care, and I think that's where the problem comes, is that until we hear that we're not really sure that they care, and we always like to hear them say that, so we know we're on the same page together. But this is Amy Adams' fault, right? This is all her
100%.
fault. We're gonna go.
We'll get to her.
And the John Robinson firing. And here's something else that I was listening to some other people talk about. Well, you're paying John Robinson, you're paying Mike Vrabel, you're not gonna make a change this year because you're paying Brian Callahan. Let me tell you something, folks. She's worth $2+ billion. All right, let that sink in. You can pay off these coaches, okay, and admit you've done wrong and move on with this. I don't need to see a year two. I've halfway seen year one. We're halfway through it, and it's not good. It's not getting any better. I go back to the day in training camp when Callahan lost his team. They talked about how Detroit, during that first year for Dan Campbell, they weren't very good, but they played for him. They believed in him. This football team does not believe in Brian Callahan. It's over. It's over. All right? We've seen it. You hired a guy who never called a play, made 0 game time decisions in his career, made 0 personnel decisions. He's in over his head. He didn't toss Jeffrey Simmons out of practice day one. We could have asserted that leadership. He didn't do that. He's way over his head. It's not going to get any better. So stop the talk about him in Cincinnati, how great he was. He did nothing in Cincinnati, calling plays or making decisions. Did nothing. Now he's a first-time coach learning on his own, and it's a disaster. An absolute disaster. It's not going to get better because the second half of the schedule is tough too. It's embarrassing if you're a Titans fan.
Okay, so you're ready to move on from Brian
Gone. I don't need to see this anymore. I don't need to see this.
So here, this is where I'm at on everything. I've made it pretty clear. I think there needs to be a change. A general manager. Basically, I'm saying Rand Carthon and Chad Brinker need to go. Both of them. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I would not do that now because I don't. I mean, you're not going to be able to bring in a new GM because I'm saying complete front office change. You're not going to be able to bring in a new GM right now, and so I don't want. I don't really know what changing now would be. Maybe after the deadline. But at the same time, you're just kind of at this point anyway. But at the end of the year, I'm bringing in a new GM, and I'm going to do something that the NFL's scared to do. I'm going to bring in somebody with experience. Like, go out and talk to Rick Spielman or Rick Smith or, Mark Dominic, guys that have been GMs before. Now, you ultimately may like an up-and-comer front office person somewhere, but I subscribe to the fact that a coach that had a job and has been fired and then gets the second job, they're typically better at the second job because they've learned from the mistakes that they made in the first job.
Okay.
Dan Quinn right now is probably going to be coach of the year. Now it's 1 year and he's got a rookie sensation quarterback, but I would say Dan Quinn getting his second opportunity is looking pretty good. I think Mike Vrabel is going to be an excellent head coach when he's given his second opportunity.
I agree.
Why can't it be the same for GMs?
Okay.
So
are you advocating? I mean, do you want to see? And look, I'm not sitting here telling I'd love people to lose their job.
I'm never that way. This is very uncomfortable and different for me.
So
because
you want Callahan to back?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
But because here's the thing, on a personal level, from the times that I've met Ran, I think he's a great guy. Like, I like Ran Carthon. So I hate saying, hey, this guy should lose his job. I don't think he's good at it. I think we've seen enough to this point with this roster that he has not done a good job. Now, again, not all on him, because I think the owner has meddled too much, and she's, now put Chad Brinker in this role. So my advice to her is move on and then go get an experienced person and get out of the way. And basically say, I'm going to give you X amount of years, X amount of dollars to come in and fix this. If you don't, then we're doing this all over again. But let somebody come in and do this. As for Callahan, I would let the new GM decide. I'd bring the new GM in. I'd say, you come in, you decide if you want to give him another year. Because, again, I don't put it all on Callahan. I do think he's been in over his head, but I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt a little bit, because I've also seen coaches, Dan Campbell, be terrible their first year and then make a big jump. So I'm letting the new GM decide that. If ultimately he decides, hey, I'm going to give him another year, see what he can do, great. If he goes, nah, I want my own guy, just like Barry Trotz did. Barry Trotz came in, evaluated John Hines, ultimately decided, I want to go get my guy. If I can get my guy, he's out, my guy's in, and that's what happens.
I forgot a point I made here with this. If you think Dan Campbell and Brian Callahan are on the same level year one, you're crazy. This team ain't playing. That team in Lions played for Dan.
Didn't they go like 1-10?
They played for him.
Yeah,
they played. And you talked to guys on that team, was like, we felt bad, we let him down. Yeah, they have also. I've read that we felt bad, we let Dan Campbell down. Do you think this team feels bad they're letting Brian Callahan down? Not a soul.
I don't know.
Not a soul. And you could tell body language wise, yesterday was awful. Yesterday was an embarrassment. Yesterday, you fire people after yesterday more than you did after the Eagles game 2 years ago. It's just, look, she's her father's daughter. All she knows how to do is she saw her dad meddle her whole life. That's what she's going to do. That's fine. That's your football team. But don't expect us to stick around and watch this. Don't expect us to sit around and watch this and go out and hire a guy who had zero experience. And there are people that sound like, he's the hottest name. He's the hottest name. Look what he did with Peyton Manning and Stafford and Derek Carr and Joe Burrow. He did nothing with those guys. They're already good. Burrow, maybe a little bit. I'll give you that. Other guys, no. It's a disaster right now.
So let me ask you this, because this has come up on the text line. 1393 says, is Callahan not the guy? Should we go get Bill Belichick? I don't think that's the answer. I don't. I obviously have a lot of respect for Belichick, but I don't know if that's the answer. But if she did that, if she just said, you know what, bleep it, I want a Super Bowl, I'm calling Bill, I'm giving Bill the keys to the car, you come in, you do what you have full autonomy, you do what you want. Would that be the right move?
I'd like it.
I think everybody would love it.
Not working now, what we're seeing. I'd like it.
Okay. Well, is he going to go? Is all of a sudden Will Levis going to become Tom Brady?
I don't know. He's not. We moved on from Will Levis.
I know, but like, and here's the thing, because there's always was it Brady, was it Belichick? Belichick still found Brady. Let's not forget that. Belichick still drafted him in the 6th round.
Yeah.
So
right.
So like a scout on that staff saw something in the semi-starter from Michigan to say, hey, Bill, let's take him with the 199th pick and see what happens.
Mhm.
Like, so that still happened. Could he do it? Could lightning strike twice?
Well,
I don't know.
I wouldn't mind watching it
Sure.
because I don't like watching what I'm
think
seeing now.
if she brought Belichick in and just said, hey, Bill, here you go. Now, I know McLean's come on with us and said that I think Bill just wants to coach. He doesn't have any interest in being GM again. But to me, you go, if you're going to bring Bill in, that's where you're calling Thomas Dimitroff. That's where you're not obviously calling John Robinson, but that's where you're calling Scott Pioli or somebody that has worked with Bill before, and you're going to bring them in because they know how Bill works.
I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I don't think what I've seen now deserves a year or two. I don't. I really don't. Because again, we're going to beat the drum. He's over his head. He didn't have control at the beginning, and it's just going to get worse. Now the Patriots come in here and they might beat the Patriots on Sunday because the Patriots look, of all the teams that play in the league, you get Carolina or New England, and you get New England coming to you this week. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions that going on. There's no answers. There's no solutions. It's just bad right now. And it started with Amy Adams, and it goes back to firing John Robinson. It goes back to the A.J. Brown trade, to all that stuff. You could have kept A.J. Brown. You could have. You didn't want to pay him. And now the league has jumped on board with paying wide receivers, and you missed the boat. That's when, that Simpsons clip when we said this last night on Bart, you said you can actually tell, was it when his soul? Yeah. When
Ricky sent that,
When Mike Vrabel stood up at the draft of 2022, you could tell the Titans, that's when the soul was taken from him. And now you got to try to get it back. And I don't know how long it's going to be because it's going to be a long time.
It's going to be a very long time. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. What do you think? We'll get to some of your texts. A lot of you have texted in. If you want to call as well. There's not really much to say about the game itself. Obviously, this is about the future of the franchise. And, all of my passion, everything comes from being a fan. That's why I got into this business. That's why I do what I do. I'm a fan, and I want my teams to do well. The Titans are not doing well. And so you can disagree. You can say, nobody cares what Rand has to say or whatever. Okay, that's fine. It's accountability for me. The GM of the Predators, Barry Trotz, went on with Jared on Tuesday at 0-5 and answered every damn question that he was asked, including, is it the coach? But that's accountability. And he knew going in what it was going to be, and he did it. Floyd did it every week, for a weekly. I mean, hell, I even think Reinfeldt and Rustin Webster did more than Rand. So
you're correct.
So it's about accountability for me. That's what it is. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your calls and texts. Next, Chasing Big Joe on a reaction Monday. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home with a $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Chasing Big Joe, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, 1025, 1063, the game here on this Reaction Monday. And are a lot of you reacting. 615-737-1025. So I debated if I wanted to say this or not, but I'm going to do it.
Say it, man.
If I was Rand Carthon and I wanted to shut people like me up and others, it's not just me. Like everybody, Teron said, hey, he needs to do better. Willie's been on him. He needs to speak. Jared, obviously, we know what Jared's saying. If I was Rand and I wanted to show everybody, hey, I'm in charge. I'm the GM of this team. I got the stones to do this. I'd walk into Robbie Bourne's office, who, is head of PR over there, say, book me for Stillman at 5:00 this afternoon.
Yeah. All right. I'd love to see it.
Never in a million years will it happen.
Never.
But I would do that.
Do it. I'd take Rand or Amy. Could you imagine Amy coming on with Stillman at 5?
I think, yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
No, look, that would be great, but I want the GM. I want the GM right now.
I'll take
You're the one
owner.
picking the players. You're the one that hired the coach, supposedly. Yeah, I want the GM.
There is no way on God's green earth that will happen. And with Amy Adams coming on, is that going to happen? There is no way they're going to come on. I want them to.
I have a better chance of going to New York or Nashville, wherever she is right now, and stealing Taylor Swift from Travis Kelce than that.
Oh, that's a pretty good analogy. Because you got no shot in hell.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
I have a better shot of doing that. All right, let's get to your phone, 615-737-1025. We'll get the text line. Dustin in Hopkinsville says, I blame the Adams family. It all starts and ends at the top. We will never succeed under an Adams. Oh, look at me. I own an NFL team. Aren't I something? Let's see. Ron says, give Brian and Bill a chance to pick their own players in the draft. Then there is no excuses for either. If it doesn't work, then fire him. So I guess when he says Bill, is he talking about Belichick or Bill Callahan?
Probably Bill Callahan.
This is a good one. 3155. Bring back Vrabel and make Jeff Fisher the GM. At least we were tough. Now we're just soft and weak from this collaborative work.
I wouldn't be opposed. It'll never happen, but I'd love to see that.
I'm not gonna subscribe to that one. Vrabel's gonna move on, and I love Fisher, but I think he's moved on too. I think he's content just doing what he's doing with AFL.
Hunting and fishing.
Jeff says, Big Joe is exactly right. My number one question is, what is the primary goal of ownership of this organization? Is it really a Lombardi trophy, or is it to keep the profit margin as high as possible while fielding a competitive team? When have they fielded a competitive team in the last 2 years?
That's a great point. I mean, it is all about the money.
That is a great question. Like if I could sit down with all 32 majority owners, the ones that make the day-to-day decisions, I would ask them all the same question. What is your primary objective? Why do you want to own a team?
Yeah, I mean,
the good ones are going to say the same thing, to win a Lombardi trophy.
Yeah, and you think about, we talk about the great owners like the Rooneys and with the Steelers, the Bartolo when he's the Niners. Even with Jerry at the beginning was good. I mean, so there's a lot being said about owners who do it. Now, the flip side, you get the Carolina owner who's terrible, and other owners across the league who are like, what? I own a team? So I think it should be about winning. It's the same question I would ask every year at the end of training camp. Was Fisher, Malarkey, whoever, like the team you put on the field tomorrow when you start training camp, can you win the Super Bowl with this team? And only one of them said, yeah, and that was Vrabel.
Yeah.
The rest of them are like, well, injuries. And I was like, no.
Now, the answer should always be, yeah, hell yeah.
The team you put on the field tomorrow for training camp, can you win the Super Bowl? And Vrabel was like, yeah, I can. That was the only one.
I never thought I'd say this. I miss Vrabel being an ass sometimes. I really do.
You didn't like him. He was here, man.
I liked him when he was here. There were times where he'd piss me off. I'm like, just answer the damn question, Mike.
It's Joe and Robbie played that clip where Vrabel's making fun of Joe's hands. I laugh harder each time I hear that. It's the best.
615-737-1025. Dylan wants to weigh in. Dylan, what's up?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good.
Hey, I just have a question. So you were talking about giving second chances to GMs and stuff like that, and I believe that because they do that in hockey, and I think it works out the best on the second time going around. I just had some ideas as far as like actual coaches go, and I just wanted to see what you guys thought. One impossible to get would be like Mike Tomlin. obviously, with the Steelers, but I think he'd be a great
Yeah,
coach
he just
here.
signed an extension, so I don't think he's leaving.
Exactly. And then possibly Pete Carroll, Jason Garrett, and John Gruden. So I'll hang up and listen to what you guys say.
It's an interesting list.
Oh, John Gruden.
Pete Carroll is the interesting one of, again, he's older, but like, what does he want? Is he, because I don't think he necessarily wanted to quit coaching. I kind of think he got forced out.
I'm with you on that.
So do you call Pete and say, hey, Pete, what do you think? You want to do this for 3 or 4 years? There's a shelf life, but like, do you want to do this for 3 or 4 years? It's worth a call.
I mean, his attitude and excitement is contagious.
Yeah.
And those guys love playing for him. I mean, he had a fallout with Russell Wilson, but I mean, that happens.
I will
don't
tell
know.
you, in the realm of getting to hang out with Floyd and getting to meet cool people through Floyd, Pete Carroll and Andy Reid were like tied for the top 2. Pete was like the cool, like he sat down and was joking around and was like, what do you guys do? And all this stuff. Like, I mean, he was cool. Like he would be awesome.
Didn't Andy Reid's people try to run him off from Floyd? Didn't you
Yeah.
tell me that?
Well, yeah, because Bill O'Brien showed up at the same time. And so the PR guy for Kansas City, who's very nice, just doing his job, said, oh, well, we might not be able to do this. And Andy turned around and go, nah, I'll wait a few minutes for Floyd. And then Andy just started talking to me. Like, I was like, okay.
How's it going, young man?
Yeah, basically. You got any more of those nuggies? Let's go to Mark. Mark wants to weigh in. Mark, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Chase? Big Joe.
What's up?
Not much.
Hey, the Road Warriors of radio, animal and hog. But
Love it.
hey, Chase, Big Joe, I'm gonna run something by you real quick. You were talking about Callahan and his lack of experience, which I agree with Big Joe on that. Didn't call plays in Cincinnati, didn't do anything with personnel. Pretty much just looked at a lot of film or whatnot, but no experience. I thought they should have went with an experienced coach, a Ben Johnson or something, and brought him in there. He's called plays. He's been there. He's been in the fire. But you were talking about Rand Carthon also. He does need to come to the forefront. He's the GM. He needs to talk to y'all and tell you what the plans are, what the future's going to be like at the Titans organization. The paying fans out there deserve to know, and you all need to deserve to know. But I think Rand has he came in, walked in with a mistake, and signed free agents and stuff. And Big Joe and Jason, have you ever noticed when free agents come to Nashville, for the most part, they stay injured, they stay hurt, like
right.
Snead? Have you ever noticed that? I mean, it started back in the day with Yancey Thigpen and those guys. Carl Pickens was on his last leg.
Right.
He brought him in. I mean, that really makes no sense. Plus, two, the thing that haunts the Titans the most is those 3 first-round picks, which one, the jury's still out, with Skoronski.
Yep.
But you got Burks as a bust. You got Farley that was a bust. When you have bust in the first round like that, it sets your franchise back 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
They can't afford to do that with the Tennessee Titans and stuff, man. And he really needs to step up and do something. Regardless, next year, him and Callahan, if they do get another shot, they'll be on the hottest seat in the NFL.
Preach.
Hey, y'all have a good day, man.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mark. Appreciate the call.
Mark, thank you as always. We love you guys calling in too. As we said earlier last week, when the Titans played the Bills, and I heard this down on the radio for the national broadcast, that the Buffalo Bills, out of the 22 starters, 16 of them they drafted. I mean, that's where it is. I mean, you could go out and you say, look, they spent a lot of money on free agency. You see what the result is. Not good. Is Tyler Boyd still on this team?
Yeah.
I'm
He
not
caught
sure.
a pass yesterday.
Did he? Okay. That's one more pass than I caught. So 16 to 22, and it's about evaluation, about drafting, and that's where it comes from. You can spend money all day long, but when you spend money to dress up a pig, at the end of the day, what is it?
A pig.
It's still a pig.
You know what else pisses me off too? And look, I think that Mason Rudolph has done as well as he could do. I'm not blaming Mason Rudolph. But when I turn over and I see the Colts game and I see Joe Flacco sitting on the sideline and I'm like, why didn't they just call Joe Flacco? as the backup.
I know just a second. What happened to Anthony Richardson? I read that
I
he
don't-
checked himself out of the game yesterday.
I
Pat McAfee has me blocked on Twitter, so I can't follow. He had some rant about it that I kind of saw.
don't know.
But yeah, all right. That's had nothing to do with what we're talking about, but you just brought it up.
Tristan, hold on the line. We'll get more of your calls, more of your texts. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line. Driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Your reaction: Titans lose. What's next? We discuss Chasing Big Joe. 1025, 1063 The Game. Very good, Dr. Crane. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game here on this Reaction Monday. Brett Kern going to join us in a few minutes, get his thoughts on everything. I know a lot of you are calling for Colt Anderson to be fired. Brett obviously will give some good insight on that in the because I'm going to ask a very simple question to Brett. What does the special teams coach do? Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, what do they do? Like, what is their daily job?
Well, I guess just to scheme up
Right.
kickoff return coverage and punt return coverages. Here's my thing now with football. Nobody goes for the block anymore. It's like set up the return. I'm sorry, man. I'm sitting as many guys I can after the punter to put pressure. Anytime I put pressure on somebody that does that. But that's a good question. It's like, what do you do? I mean, because you're a special teams coach dedicated just to that, there shouldn't really be mistakes. And this team, might be the worst special teams year so far I've ever seen from a football team.
Because here's the thing, too. When I watch Jaquan Jackson, who's the returner, I don't think it's him. I see the burst. I see the speed. I think that kid's got talent. Like, I do. I think that's going to end up being a pretty good pick. It's the coverage in front of him. It's not good. 615-737-1025. Tristan has been waiting patiently. Tristan, what's up?
Yes, I think the Titans need to get rid of Rand Carthon. He doesn't come out for the media or talk about these things the fans want to hear from him. Brian Callahan, keep Bill Callahan, his father, to keep the offensive line because our offensive line has improved. We haven't given up as many sacks like last year or the previous year. Defensive, there's improvements. I want the number 1 overall draft pick so we can get a quarterback or trade down to get more picks, capitalist, and get somebody that knows football experience and give Amy Adams Strunks football for dummies, basically a book for football.
I like that. Thanks for the call, Tristan. Appreciate it.
Oh,
welcome.
man. Thank you, Tristan. Football
for dummies. That's a good
Hey, I'm
one.
going to leave Amy, real quick. I'm going to leave this right here for you. And so, that's terrible, man.
Dude, if
Football for dummies.
if the fan base started sending those to the facility for Christmas, I and that got out that she got
Oh my goodness! And let me say this.
oh my goodness.
On Sunday, don't boo if you go to the game, don't boo the football team. I mean, just don't boo them. I mean, I'm like, well, I pay. You can do whatever you want. I get it, but just if you're still a Titans fan, go out there and let them get a win on Sunday. Just I don't know. You could vent during the week and be mad, but on Sunday, if you go to the game, support the team. If you're a Titans fan, just
don't
do that.
boo. I mean, don't boo that because
Use us to.
here's the
vent.
thing. All the players on that team, this isn't their fault. They just want to play football. And there are some bad players on that team. There are some good players on that team. It's just this is what it is right now, but it's not their fault. It's the owner and the
Right.
GM and the coach and
It's a little their fault.
because they're not good enough. or-
they're just
But can you honestly in the National Football League, there are 32 teams. There are 53 players. So, and then you got 10 on the practice squad.
it's over 2,000 roughly, right?
Right.
I don't do math on the show. That's one of the reasons they hired me.
100 of them might be good.
Yeah.
Think about that. Of all the players in the National Football League, they do a top 100 every year. Those might be the good ones.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots and Jets 2-6. By the way, you could be a fan of those, and that's bad. The Browns are
Jets
2-6.
are terrible.
They're terrible. I think Peterson's the first coach going to get. The second coach will get fired. They're bad.
Doug Peterson?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
probably.
they had the collapse yesterday. So I think
I think
he's
a
going.
coach gets fired today.
Antonio Pierce for the Raiders. He's in over his head too. He don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dabble with the Giants. They're 2-6.
Daboll.
Dabble.
Brian Daboll.
What did I say? Dabble.
Yeah.
Isn't that commercial we run all the time? Gracias, Dabble.
That's Babel.
Babble.
What is it? Dabble.
Babel.
The Titans have me so upset. The Panthers. You're not getting rid of Canales because I
No.
think
Actually, I don't think he's that bad.
no. And then the Rams are 3-4. They're bottom of their. I just went through all the teams at bottom of their divisions there, but you look at the 1-6, man, and It hurts. And after you see the performance yesterday and the effort yesterday and the mistakes yesterday and all around, somebody's got to get the blame for it. And right now, you had a good point earlier, okay? I mean, Chase, it's Callahan right now during the game. It's Callahan.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Jets obviously already have the opening. I think Mike McDaniel does get fired at the end of the year. I don't think he should, but I think he does.
Yeah, I think it's not working.
Dude in Cleveland gets fired, even though they just extended him. But that's a very Stefanski. I think Zach Taylor's not safe in Cincinnati. I agree with you on Doug Peterson. Antonio Pierce, I think, gets another year. Dayball, I agree with you. I think McCarthy in Dallas is going to get. Well, I mean, they're just going to let his contract expire. I was going to say the Eagles, but right now they're 5-2, so I guess he's holding on. Nobody from the North right now.
The South looks safe.
New Orleans, maybe. Dennis Allen, maybe.
They're the only team in history. They're 2-6 to win their first 2 games by like averaging 40 points and then losing 6 in a row.
And then I don't think they fire McVay, but I think he quits.
Yeah, I think he goes into the booth and will be great in the booth.
I think he's done. We'll see what Brett Kern has to say about all of this coming up next in hour number 2. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Reaction Monday. They're showing the highlights for the Lions on Good Morning Football and NFL Network right now. We say hello to our buddy Brett Kern, former Titans punter, who's on the line with us. And Brett, I just have a feeling that these Monday conversations are going to be more of the same, not talking about too many victories, but this is where we are right now with the Tennessee Titans. How's it going?
Good. We could shift the topic to, the Preds are on a 3-game heater right now. They had a good week last week and, at Tampa Bay tonight for a little Stamkos, homecoming. So we could talk about winning if you want. Vanderbilt was close, Texas, that was a great game. But, I guess we can talk about the Titans.
Well, I want to get your perspective because a lot of the fans are calling for Cole Anderson to be let go today and special teams and all of that. And I think you have an interesting perspective on this because obviously, you play special teams and Khalif Raymond, who ran all over the Titans yesterday in the return game. We obviously remember him here. But I want to ask this simple question. The special teams coach, what do they do on a daily basis? What was your interaction with the special teams coach? Because that'll give us a better idea of kind of where to go from this.
Yeah, I think a lot depends on starting up top with, whether it's your general manager or however your structure is set up top as far as how you're getting players, right? A lot of times special teams, some teams they'll devote, like in New England's case, Baltimore's case, some of the head coaches that were very, very focused in on special teams, right? They'll give the special teams coordinator 3 or 4 guys that say, hey, look, we'll give you 3 or 4 spots on this roster to go get guys that you want, that you need, that you feel like can be special teams guys, right? In 2017, probably the best unit that we had special teams wise in my whole 13 years, with the Titans, it was Wesley Woodyard, right? It was Darren Bates. It was Philip Supernaw. Kevin Byard was the PP on punt. We had guys, Brandon Trawick, who ended up going to the Pro Bowl that year because Slater, was with New England and didn't go. The team, they were devoted guys to play special teams and work on special teams. And so a lot of times in some cases, the special teams coordinator doesn't get that. And so he's left with, hey, we drafted this guy in the 7th round. We need him to play special teams to find a role on this team. Or, hey, we got this DB, not really sure, put him on special teams. And so all of a sudden you get a collection of guys that, they're supposed to play special teams, but they might not be the best fit on special teams. And you try to make them play special teams. And to play special teams, you need to have an attitude of, like, it is your pride, it is your joy, it is, I'm going to go help make a difference in this game. In how I play, how I run down on, well, you don't run down on kickoff anymore, barely, but how I play kickoff or how am I covering a punt, right? How am I protecting? And you just take a ton of pride in it. The guys that I played with, like I said, in 2017 and even some years after that, I mean, those guys, if I putted a ball out of bounds, Darren Bates would come over to me and cuss me out and saying, do not punt that ball out of bounds. I will go down and make that tackle because this is my livelihood, right? I had that conversation with him multiple times. And that was Bates, right? He's from Memphis. I'm like, yeah, dog. Okay, you got it. And so I would punt the next ball. I distinctly remember that at Houston. And the next one I put, right on the numbers. And who's the guy that went down and about took off the returner's head? Darren Bates, right? So those are the guys that you need on special teams. And so in Colt's case, like, he might not be able to have that. So now you're trying to plug and play guys, like yesterday on that kickoff, that huge kickoff return. It wasn't necessarily a bounce. It was just a field return. And your L5 and your L4 fell for the bait that Detroit had. They were setting straight back, and all of a sudden, boom, they kicked them. In Detroit's case, they kicked them to the inside so that return could go out to the numbers. And all of a sudden, then you double, and those two guys are, a first-year player and a second-year player. They probably haven't played a lot of special teams to see or how to play that, right? And so then all of a sudden you double the 2 and the 3, and the off returner, he's probably thinking, all right, I'm going to probably get this 5 or this 4. He didn't even have to cover him because, the guys for the Titans fell for the bait. And now he's all the way up to the 1 to kick out the 1, and the returner's not even touched. He got tackled by the off returner, he got tackled by the off safety in Amani Hooker, who probably wasn't blocked, right? So I think it's little things like that. So I think he's just trying to figure out like who can play gunner, who can go down there and cover Stoney's punts, right? And to go down there to take shots to slow down the returner. So I mean, that's a long answer and there's a lot to it, but I mean, he's, what drills are you working? Are you working on covering drills, right? The one punt return that never should have happened on a 4 or 5 hang time on a 37-yard punt. Khalif saw the hole and Otis Reese didn't come to balance, got out of his lane. Khalif saw it, bam, little cut move, up you go, right? And so are they working the drills that are simple drills, stuff that you do in camp, stuff that you do in May, April, June, coming to balance, drills, covering, all that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot that he does. It's just a matter of trying to find the right guys that can go out there and do it.
We're talking to former Titans punter Brett Kern on the Chasing Big Joe show. And Brett, my special teams coach in college always told me on the punt return team or the punt coverage team, there's never any excuse why the other team should run a punt back. And like, well, this guy got blocked. Like, if you do your job, just do your job. You should never have a punt return go back. Now that's happened several times. I mean, how frustrating is it, Brett? You saw this to see all this happening.
Yeah, I think that's why I became a directional punter, because I knew, like, first of all, the guys that I was going against, and Hester, Sproles, Tyreek Hill, these guys could, get out of a phone booth, right?
Right.
And so, for me, it was like, okay, if I want to play a long time, like, I'm going to have to get really good at directional punting. And so that's what I did, right? But I think, for the guys to be able to go cover Stonehouse's punts, like, that takes some dogs, right? And the longer the punt that you have, the more space that you create in between your lanes. So not everybody can run down on a punt and run the 4-3, 4-4, right? You have somebody that might be able to run a 4-3. Then you might have a tight end that runs a 4-7. Well, then all of a sudden, the longer this punt goes, the more lanes you create, the more space. And if you get a guy like Khalif, right, who is very shifty, very quick, can make guys miss, like that's right up his alley, And so, here the Titans are, they're giving up 25 returns for 454 yards, right? That's 18 per return. The next guy is New England, Bryce Behringer. They've given up 312, and then Corey Bajorquez in Cleveland's 280, have 10 more punts than the Titans do. And so there's just something that needs to, whether you tell Stoney, like, hey man, like, I know you broke an NFL record, you probably want to try to break it again. I get that. He's got the leg to do that, but it's like, hey, like, there's been years where I've played and it's like, dude, like, you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit, for the betterment of the team to be able to punt here or punt there, just because of the guys that we have in coverage, right? And you say, hey, Stoney, like, you can still boot it 55, 50 yards. If you put a little more hang time on it, we'll be in great shape, right? Or maybe try to put some direction on it. Special teams, it's all, especially with punt, right? Because you got, the punter back there, and a lot's dictated on the type of punt that he hits, right? And then you have the coverage guys. Like, it all works together. Everything has to be in sync. And right now for special teams, a lot of things, aren't really in sync.
All right, so Khalif Raymond had 5 returns for 190 yards, had the long 90-yard. When you take that out, it's 4 returns for 100. That's still 25 yards per return without the big return. Now, let me put that in there. A 90-yard punt return, Brett. I mean, I get it when it's like 45, 50-yard punt return, but 90 yards, I mean, you ran the entire field. You ran past all 11 players. That's unacceptable, right?
I mean, yeah, that's not great. And like, it's
not ideal.
Frustrating. Not ideal. It's frustrating. And I think the hard part too is with this team, and this is kind of like what I felt like in 2014 with the team that we had. You felt like you needed a lot of things to kind of go your way. And you weren't really able to overcome a lot of things, right? Things just had to work out for you to get a W. Things just had to work out. And so, I mean, it's 14-14. You're thinking, okay, like, this is a really good Lions team. I know you guys were talking about earlier about the draft. Like, look what they've done over the past couple of years in drafting. Pretty darn good, right? And then you give up a big kickoff. Okay, well, they score. All right, it's 21-14. You get the ball back. How do we respond? You did it earlier in the game. You responded. Throw an interception, right? Okay. Not ideal, right? You come back. It's 28-14. You still have the opportunity. you give up a 64-yard punt return for them to start. 5 of their 6 touchdowns were starting on the Tennessee side of the field, and that's just extremely hard to overcome with. And then you get the 4th down, not getting it, on 1st and goal to maybe make it closer, knowing that you get the ball in the second half. It just like I said, a lot of things need to go their way, and unfortunately they're not. And so that makes it extremely hard for them to pull out a victory.
Brett Kern is with us, former Titans punter. You mentioned 2014. I have to imagine that the morale of the team got to a pretty low point. And, the big difference to me is Wisenhunt was Wisenhunt, and I think Callahan is a nicer guy and, maybe easier to deal with. But what do you think the morale is in that locker room right now, knowing that you've traded off some pieces, you're 1-6, and things are just not going your way?
Yeah, I think that's tough. Obviously, trades happen. That's just part of football. And I think a lot of guys that at least have been in the league for a while understand that's just how it works. Right. And so, yeah, it's tough. Like I said earlier, because you go back to where you feel like things just need to be, going your way, right? You need to get the bounces, whatever you want to call it. You need to get, maybe the quarterback throws one off and hits a guy's helmet, and you get an easy pick out of it. A DB maybe misplays a deep ball, and you get a huge catch for a touchdown, right? There's just little things that you feel like have to go your way, and it's frustrating. Like the offense, responds, makes it 14-14, and then special teams gives up a play, right? Defense gives up a 70-yard run. It's just, so you got, a lot of guys are kind of like, well, it's them, it's this. You start pointing fingers all over the place. And if you don't have the leadership, in the locker room to say, hey, like, stop, cut it, we're not doing this. It can easily go sideways pretty quick. And so it's frustrating knowing that you have to go into a game feeling like you have to be darn right near perfect for you to get a victory. And over time, that just, I remember that 2014 season, like we were 2-4 after week 6 and we lost 10 games in a row. Like that is just, it's awful. It's a terrible feeling. So hopefully that's not the same for these guys.
We will see. Not looking good for sure. Brett, always appreciate the insight. Thanks for doing this, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. You have a good one.
You too. Brett Kern, former Titans punter, joining us here on the program. Always enjoy the conversations with him. We'll get back to your reaction. Titans fall 52-14 to the Detroit Lions yesterday. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. It's the Chase and Big Joe Show, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Win an 80s action movie? Let's go.
You know what this is from?
The Top Gun?
No.
No.
No, we're not giving it to him.
No, hang on.
Text line. You're going to answer this for Chase. 615-737-1025.
know.
We're not going to tell you.
It's an 80s action movie, though, right?
It is not.
Or 90s.
It is not. It's an 80s movie, but it's not action. It's a heartfelt movie.
Oh,
They made a remake about 7 years ago, and it was awful.
I don't know. Tell me.
Nope. Text line's going to tell you in a little bit.
All right, first one to get it. How about this? First one to get it right will win. This is a perfect 80s tie-in. We'll win a pair of tickets to see Wasp at the Ryman Auditorium on Tuesday, November 26th.
The boss man's got prizes. Yeah, I love it.
615-737-1025. What movie was this from?
All right. Not going to tell you.
Answer's got a little sting to it.
See what you did
Bad
there.
joke.
Yeah.
We'll continue, please.
Oh, that's terrible. I'll deal with you at 10:45
Thank you, Joe.
during all that. You know, we got so wrapped up how bad the Titans are that the college football kind of took a step back this weekend. So there were some exciting games in the National Football League. Vandy with a great effort. We watch it together. We're like, and when's the last time we said in the second
Is it
half?
Footloose?
That's it.
Okay.
Footloose.
8793. He's the winner.
And you got the sirens
she.
going too. When's the last time we watched a Vanderbilt football game in the second half and said against a top 25 team and said they're not going away?
Yeah. I mean, that was
Heck
me
of an
Saturday.
effort.
That
I
was-
know you got lost.
I like here's the thing, and like this shows you the fan I am. I hate moral victories. I hate them. I hate them with a passion. Like I was so disappointed at the end of that game because they lost by 3. They were in it. They were right there. And it was just you take a couple of mistakes away and they probably win that football game. But I think Vanderbilt's a good team. And if I'm Tennessee, I was paying attention.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you're going to come into a buzzsaw.
I think we also have a coach who's I don't see how Kentucky can bring Stoops back now. I mean,
Yeah,
they
they
lost to
will.
Auburn, they lost to Vanderbilt. I know he's getting paid a lot of money. It's the program's not going anywhere. It's actually going backwards. And you got to play Tennessee Saturday night in Neyland. Tennessee's got a week off. Tennessee's gonna be feeling really good. They're gonna kill you. Tennessee's gonna kill Kentucky.
Yeah.
I
And they're
just-
going dark mode too. Did you see
Are
that?
they?
Yeah. They actually go check it out. The video is pretty cool. They did like a Venom thing, like with the Venom symbiote that and turned went the dark mode. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, night games at Neyland are that's an experience.
Yeah. Oh
Whether,
yeah.
whether you're a Vols fan or not, it's still something. So it's going to be rough. And Auburn with the big win over Kentucky, and now they host Vanderbilt. And
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze had some mysterious illness where he flew up Saturday with the
Yeah.
team, and what's going on there. But look, Vanderbilt wins. They're bowl eligible on Saturday. They're 6-2. I never thought I'd sit here and say that 8 games or 9 games into the season.
While we have, because this is kind of a shorter segment, we'll hit a couple of other things. We'll get hot and heavy into college football tomorrow. But I agree, it was a fun college football weekend. You got the new top 25 that's out. I mean, Vanderbilt's not going away. I feel like they're going to get bowl eligible. Probably not going to beat LSU at LSU because we know, but I could be wrong. I don't know. And then Tennessee, I think Tennessee's kind of becoming a coin flip right now.
They are. And, we should start a segment. I should delve into this. Dumb things people say over the weekend. Sarkisian probably had the dumbest thing to say this weekend. Did you hear what he said?
No.
He said Vanderbilt played them tougher than Georgia did.
Ooh. I
Uh,
wouldn't have said that. Whether it's true or not, I wouldn't have said that.
what
Because
are
I
you-
think they're going to have to see Georgia again.
what are you trying to get out of that? Georgia beat you. I mean, it's great. Vanderbilt played tough.
Texas dropped a spot, by the way.
Vanderbilt played tough. They did not go away. They fought every step of the way, which is a credit to Clark Lee in that program. Well done. But for Sarkisian to say they played us tougher than Georgia did when Georgia kicked your butt.
Hey, you know what team is saying, "What's up, y'all? How we doing?"
Don't say it.
Texas A&M.
Ah, okay. I thought you were going to say Jimmy Frank.
Heck no. No. Texas A&M, they're sitting there in 10th right now. And look, I'm sure they're saying to the committee, yeah, or the AP, like, yeah, Yeah, keep barely moving us up the rankings. Go ahead.
I had that discussion with Derek and Chris yesterday about Marcel Reed
Big win for them.
because I felt like we all raised him here. Because
Right. Oh, yeah.
Rod Reed's we love Rod Reed, and so we've known Marcel for years.
Rod would come on the radio and at the end be, Marcel sitting in the back seat. He's taking him to school. Like, I just want to give a shout out to Marcel. And I
Right.
forget his sister's name.
Oh, Rod's such a good man and such a good dad, and you love to see what's happening with his son right now. And I love it. We've talked about this, Chase. You and I on the same page. I love it when guys we got to fall in love with on Friday night show off on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And Marcel Reed is that example.
Yeah, I agree. So look, it's interesting. Georgia's, Oregon's number 1, Georgia's 2, Penn State 3, Ohio State 4, Miami 5, then Texas, Tennessee, Notre Dame, BYU, Texas A&M is the top 10 right now. But college football is so much fun. And then back in the pros, how about the Browns and Jameis Winston upset the Ravens yesterday? And did you see Jameis's pregame interview?
Yeah.
And how fantastic! I'm going to start doing that. Did you see it?
Yes.
His pregame?
Yeah.
You talking about? Oh, Jameis. No, I did not. No, I saw his postgame.
So he does a pregame interview, and I can't remember who the report. Melanie, was it Melanie Collins?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so.
And is like, coach is saying not to play with pressure. How are you going about this today? And he goes, today, he like quotes the today is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And that was his answer. And she's like, you're locked in right now. And he's just like, he just quoting the Bible and everything. That was his interview. And then he does the huddle where he's like, it's about the name on the back and not the decal on the, well, we don't have decals.
Man.
He's just great.
His postgame, he quoted Eminem.
Yeah, oh yeah.
One day, yeah.
Lose yourself. I
Guy
think
up
that's
the street. I was like, this is
Oh, yeah.
gold.
it was good. And then the Hail Mary yesterday. So I was watching the NBC, the pregame show, and Matt Sims wanted to dog on Kevin Byard or Byard. Like, can we not get his name right at this
No.
point? And say that he was out of position. And then McCourty kind of jumped and goes, no, it's not Byard. Byard is where he needed to be on that. If you watch it, you got the second year corner. It's John with the fans as the ball is leaving. Like the play has started.
Right.
And he's John with the fans, and then he runs over. He's the one that was out of position, and he tipped the ball. Nobody was behind the receiver. Like, what are you doing?
That's right.
Aren't you taught on a play like that? You got to get somebody deep in the
They
end
don't
zone.
care, Chase. They don't care. They don't care. They're not listening to coaching. They don't care.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right
It's
now,
bad.
they don't care.
It is bad. All right, we'll get back into the Titans. 615-737-1025. I was pretty passionate earlier about what I think should happen. We'll revisit that and get your reaction as well. 615-737-1025. Chasing Big Joe, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, 1025-1063 The Game.
need to know while I'm still standing. You just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did?
Rand Carthon listening to this as he walked in the facility this morning. Jason Big Joe, 1025, 1063 the game. Titans lose 52-14 to the Detroit Football Lions yesterday. It's funny. I'm not a Lions fan. I've never been a Lions fan. Like, I honestly didn't care about the Lions my entire life. Like, I knew they were in the NFL, and I knew they were, like, the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm legitimately glad to see them doing well because I cheer for the underdogs. That's why I'm a Vanderbilt fan. I've always pulled for the underdogs. So to see them doing well is awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's a team that's never been to the Super Bowl. It's just fun.
One of four.
Different. It's different.
One
now,
of
if the
four.
Browns get it together, Browns Lions Super Bowl would probably end the world.
Oh, it'd be
It'd end the world. It'd be amazing. And right now, it looks like it's going to be. I mean, the Chiefs keep winning. Even when they get things thrown at them, they find a way to win. Ravens got knocked down by the Browns yesterday, but I think the Lions, man, there's something there.
I think it's going to be a weird Super Bowl. I think the Lions do get there. I really do. I think they're that good. But then I think out of the AFC is going to be a team that is going to surprise people.
Okay.
Like
Better than the Chiefs?
like the Steelers.
All right.
You know, something like that. Like that nobody's counting on right now.
You got to go through Kansas City right now because as long as Mahomes is back there,
sure,
they're in every game.
And look, D-Hop didn't really do anything yesterday, but I think once he gets settled in, I think that's going to be dangerous.
I mean, can you imagine going from the absolute joke of the NFL?
Go to bed at 1-5, wake up at 6-0. That's what he did.
Good for him. I'm glad they traded him. They can go out and do his thing, man. Good for him.
Yeah, and they should have. So we started the show off like I was pretty fired up. Basically, where I'm at with this team is obviously I put 99.9% of the blame on Amy Adams-Strunk as the owner because she owns the team. She's made these decisions, made all these moves. So it is on her. I don't necessarily I'm putting some of the blame on Brian Callahan, but it's clear he's a rookie head coach. He's in over his head.
Yes.
I kind of lean towards giving him another year. But with the general manager, he hasn't spoken in a live press conference setting since making these trades. He did a Q&A with Nick Suss of the Tennessean, which good for them. That's great. That's not what I'm asking for. I want to hear a live interview where he's got to ask, a press conference is preferred, but even if he went on the other station and went on the flagship, I would like that better than what he's doing.
All right, let me ask you this. You got Rand Carthon. He calls in. What's the first question you ask him?
Rand, what is the plan moving forward for this team?
Okay.
You're 1-6. You've traded off DeAndre Hopkins and Ernest Jones. You're obviously adding draft picks. It would be perceived that you're looking more towards 25 than you are right now. So what is the plan moving forward for this team?
Mine would be, did you envision it being this bad? And if not, why?
Okay.
I mean, there's no wrong answer.
No,
to ask
there's
him.
not. There's not. But the thing is, and I know Jared is going to talk about this. I know he's probably, no matter what he does, he's going to answer in cliches. If you were the general manager, that's probably how you would answer the question.
Can you find his response? You read it earlier.
Yeah.
And read for those who don't know, and then Rand Carthon spoke, or the Tennessean reporter.
Well, let me read another one. Let me read another one.
Okay.
But this is one from the Tennessean. The question was, looking at what's happened in the first 7 games and building for the last 10, what do you expect from the season having seen what you've seen? That's from Nick Suss. Quote, I expect our guys to continue to play hard, which is what they do. The ball's not round. You don't know which way it's going to bounce sometimes. It's those couple of opportunities that we had in the game where we jar the ball loose, but it bounces right back to them. And then on the other side of us, it gets away from us. So you can't predict which way the ball bounces. But one thing I know about our team is those guys show up every day at practice, they prepare, and they come out and fight. So we've got to continue to fight until the ball bounces our way.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
And then the quote that you were talking about was, my message for the fans would be, just stay with us. We understand your frustration. We're frustrated too, but we're working diligently every day to get the next one. That's what we're going to do. For us to come in and have to flip the roster the way you have to get it to a competitive point and not be able to see the W's in the win column, we understand. We understand the fan base's frustration, but I promise you, we're working hard as we can to fix it and get it right. And you know what? I will say this.
Tell me,
I
baby.
don't think that's a lie. I do think they are working hard at it. I just think from what I have seen at this point in his tenure as the general manager, that I do believe it's time for a change at general manager. I like Ran Carthon, the person. I just don't think he's been good at his job. And I understand what he inherited, but you don't have, the NFL stands for not for long. You don't have a long time to fix it.
Right.
And, you
This
know,
is fun.
the ball not bouncing our way, you know, then there's this weird power structure that's the owner's fault. It just, to me, just understand, just basically, if you're Amy Adams Strunk, look yourself in the mirror and go, all right, I screwed this up. Rand, appreciate you. Chad, appreciate you. You're out. And then go hire somebody with experience. Don't go get the next, you know, up and coming director of player personnel, you know, whatever. Go get somebody that's been a GM. And they're out there. Rick Smith was in Houston. I actually think he did. I asked McLean, did you like him? He goes, absolutely. He did a great job. You know, he and Bill O'Brien kind of had some issues towards the end. His wife got sick and tragically passed away from cancer. So, I mean, he stepped down. Rick Smith, somebody I would talk to. Rick Spielman, somebody I would talk to. You know, Mark Dominic, who, you know, again, I look at it like this. If we do it with coaches that, hey, they had a chance, they were a head coach, it didn't work out, they got fired, then they get another chance. Dan Quinn, Vrabel's going to get another chance. Todd Bowles in Tampa, you know, he's on his second job. If they get another chance and you see them a lot of times do better in the second time, why can't GMs? It used to be that way. I mean, Dorsey, remember, what's his first name? Dorsey was in Kansas City.
Glenn
and then
Dorsey,
Cleveland.
big band leader.
No.
I don't know.
He was in Kansas City, then he was in Cleveland. I mean, hell, even Mike Tannenbaum got more than one chance, and he was terrible.
Right.
You know, so I mean, like, just I want an experienced football person. Bill Polian was in Buffalo and then Indy.
He don't want this mess.
No. I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just giving examples of guys that
You're
GMs
correct.
that got second chances.
Yeah.
I think John Robinson should get another chance.
He will.
I don't know if he will. Just the way the way it's going right now with, I mean, now he'd probably have to go, you know, be a director of player personnel or something like that again, but like give him another chance.
Look, he got them to 19 to the NFC Championship. He got him 21 and number one seed. John Robinson was responsible.
John Dorsey, that's his name. Thank you, Rick.
Was responsible for that. So now you can look back and say, hey, when I left, here's what happened to the franchise. And, you know, they went to, you know, where, and then he'll get a second chance. Everybody gets a second chance. I mean, that's the thing. You'll get a second chance, but it's just right now, you know, where are they going? And nobody knows. And that's the frustrating part. And they're awful.
They have no idea.
And yesterday's loss is equally as bad as the 59-0 loss in 2009 was to the Patriots, because it's just embarrassing. And it's all facets of this team. Coach in over his head. Owner doesn't know, can't stay out of the way. GMs, and a plural, those guys know what's going on. I mean, it's as worse as it could be. And I think they owe it to some of the guys to let them say, hey, we owe it to you to send you down the line, go get some assets and look for the future. Because right now the present's terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Dylan threw out Cliff Kingsbury would be a great head coach. I don't know. Maybe. He's doing a great job as the coordinator in Washington, working with Jaden Daniels. I'm kind of, and I used to not be this way. My plan would be, if I'm Amy, if I own the team, I would let Ran Carthon and Chad Brinker go. I'd hire a new GM. I would tell them that you decide on Brian Callahan. If you want to keep him, I support it. If you want to get your own guy, I support that too. I would leave it up to the GM. But I'm kind of subscribing to the go get the defensive-minded head coach and then go get the guru as OC. Because like we saw that here,
Yep.
and it worked.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
We saw that with Fisher. We saw that with Vrabel, and it worked. You can't tell me it didn't. It worked.
Yeah. I mean, they need somebody who's going to come in and call you out. Right now, nobody's getting called out.
Like the smartest move that Jeff Fisher ever made, and I liked Les Steckel, but when he hired Mike Heimerdinger, this offense changed. When Vrabel gave Art the job, it changed. It went in the right direction.
Yep. I'm
So
with you, man.
that's what I would
All
do.
that.
We'll have a reaction throughout the day, 615-737-1025. But coming up next, we'll tell you what day it is and also celebrity birthdays. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Reaction Monday. DVD coming up next. Hear Derek's perspective from the former player's point of view, and also Adam and Willie as well. And then Preds in action tonight. Didn't get to spend a lot of time on them, but they've won 3 in a row. So the Predators starting to get their
Feels
stride. Good. It does feel good to win 3 in a row. They'll go into Tampa tonight. Obviously, Steven Stamkos, his return to Tampa after spending his entire career there. I haven't looked at what the odds are on him scoring a goal, but I'd go ahead and dabble on that because I have a feeling that's going to happen. He's going to be fired up. But we'll have coverage of that tonight here on 102.5, 106.3. The game starting at 5:30 as the Preds take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. A lot of reaction today, and it's going to continue throughout the day. And obviously, Stillman will have his at 2 o'clock. But Titans are what they are at this point.
They are.
With that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays. Yesterday was National Tight End Day.
How about
So
that?
that was good.
There was, 16 tight ends that scored yesterday?
Yep.
It's impressive. It's impressive. You know what else is impressive?
Love the tight ends.
Honoring our nation's
do.
First Responders Day. That's impressive.
Amen.
Next, we have International Animation Day. National Chocolate Day. Told you guys I love me.
Today's chocolate day?
Yeah.
Okay.
National Chocolate Day. Get
All
some good, Belgian chocolate? Is that right? Get some good chocolate out there.
What's wrong with American chocolate?
Well, I've just been told Belgian chocolate has a good,
Look,
rich
man,
flavor.
You don't love it or leave it.
I love a good Kit Kat. Don't get me wrong. All right, continuing. National Internal Medicine Day. All right. Plush Animal Lovers Day. Not sure. Okay. Plush Animal Lovers. Let's see. Separation of Church and State Day. The Feast of St. Jude. And let's see. Statue of Liberty Dedication Day. And to round it all off, Wild Foods Day.
Wild Foods Day.
You guys have any wild foods you eat?
Yeah, I go out at night. I'm like a caveman.
Grunt.
Yeah, I got a bunch of deer on my property. So.
You do have a bunch of
backstrap. Unbelievable.
Went to Chase's house Saturday night out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I was like, I thought I was an extra in the Friday the 13th movies. I got out of there alive.
Glad you could experience
Thank
it.
you. All right, time for celebrity birthdays. You have to get these within 2 years.
By the way, do you know you share birthdays with some pretty big celebrities?
Well, Bart Simpson's one.
Yeah. Katy Perry.
Julia Roberts? No, she's
No,
not.
there was another sports birthday, and I can't remember. Anyway, continue.
The lead singer of Sawyer Brown, too.
Yep.
All right, time for celebrity birthdays. Our first birthday today is actor Dennis Franz from NYPD Blue, Die Hard 2. And it wasn't he the Dixie Chicks, Earl, Gonna Die?
He might have been Earl. Yeah, I think it was Earl. 74.
67.
80 years old.
Wow.
Actress Annie Potts, whose best role was the receptionist in Ghostbusters.
We got one.
Yes.
Can I tell that story real
Go
quick?
ahead.
So we had a sounder when Joe and Greg were doing the morning show on 94.9 when it first started.
Nobody ever called.
And nobody called in. And so I was producing and I got that drop. And so whenever we get a phone call, I'd hit it. And it's her going, we got one. And there were certain people in management that didn't like that. But that's okay.
Hated it. We loved it.
So we kept doing it, as I would support now. Annie Potts, 76?
82.
72. Andy Richter, comedian Andy Richter, was with Conan for so long.
He was good with Conan. 59.
54.
58. Chase up 1-0. Here is Julia Roberts. How old is Julia Roberts from Atlanta, Georgia?
62.
70.
57.
Jeez.
70. You said that emphatic 72. Brad Paisley, country singer Brad Paisley. Thank you for what you do with your place called The Store for help people out getting food.
When I worked at Toys R Us after my freshman year in college, I was working on the one in Cool Springs. He comes in because had the Babies R Us 2. Their son had just been born. He comes in, he's like, hey, where are the diapers at? And so I took him to where they were, and he kind of looks at me and he goes, you know anything about this stuff? And I'm like, no, man. Sorry, we can't help you. Super nice. 54.
58.
52. Chase up 2-0. You have any more stories on Brad Paisley?
Nope, that was it.
Joaquin Phoenix.
The Joker, Johnny Cash,
Signs.
57.
54.
50.
Dang.
You're stuck on that 54 over there, Dr. Crane.
Yeah, it's gonna hit.
Studio
It's like
50.
roulette.
It's like roulette.
It's gonna hit. Singer and rapper Frank Ocean. I will tell you right now, he's not 54.
Thank you.
40.
Red 32.
37. Chase up 2-0. All right, we'll roll through these. Lives out in Brentwood. He wrote a lot of the Bon Jovi songs. Singer, songwriter, music producer Desmond Child.
0953 says, bro, who cares about all your stories trying to play this game? I'm just keep telling more stories. Desmond Child.
Yeah.
71.
54.
71 exactly. Chaser. Those is producers. Actress Daphne Zuniga. She was on Melrose Place. One Tree Hill.
57.
54.
62. Actress Lauren Hawley. She's famous because Jim Carrey says, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Also on NCIS.
Yep.
58.
62.
61. Now 4-1. Dr. Crane's on the board. He came up a runner-up in American Idol to Kelly Clarkson. Justin Guarnini.
42.
45.
46. It's 4-2. I love it. All right, let's get to the sports. We got 4 sports here. NBA coach, I think he might be the all-time winningest coach in the NBA, Lenny Wilkins. Coached the Hawks, the Supersonics.
80.
76.
86. Caitlyn Jenner.
62.
67.
74. Denver Broncos safety Steve Atwater.
How old is Bruce? Never mind. Steve Atwater. 61.
67.
58. It's 4-2. Dr. Crane, you can tie. Chase,
All right.
you can win. Last birthday. NFL Hall of Famer, Denver Broncos running back from the University of Georgia, Terrell Davis.
TD is 56.
52.
52 exactly at
Dang.
the buzzer. That's a tie. We'll do. We'll go for that's all the birthdays I got. Maybe there's one more here. Oh, real quick. Bill Gates. Go.
77.
74.
68. It's a tie.
All right, we'll take it. That'll do it for us.
Yeah, guys, again, we do this message after every I know it's a Monday, but know that we love you. We're thinking about you on your cell phone. Dial 988. We're always here for you, okay? You know that God loves you. You're here for a purpose on earth. If you're going through a tough time, it's okay because dark clouds clear out and sunshine is there. We want to be there for you when it happens. You need us, reach out to us. Know that we love you and you're tremendously loved.
Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick coming up next. 1025, 1063. Their game.